Today we're talking about what to do and what steps to take if you are fired after a medical leave or if your job duties change after you come back from a protected medical leave. So we've helped lots of clients who have either gone out on protected leave such as FMLA, Family Medical Leave Act leave, or have been out of work due to a pregnancy or other medical related complication. And in many of those cases, the clients either came back to find that they did not have a job anymore, or came back to find that the duties of their job, their responsibilities had been taken away from them. So the question is, what do you do in those scenarios? In the first scenario, let's say you go out on a medical leave that is protected, and you've provided all of the relevant documentation to the employer, and you come back, and all of a sudden you don't have any responsibilities, or you feel as though you're being treated hostilely, or people are giving you a hard time because of the leave that you just took. Now, the first inclination may be to say, I'm quitting, I can't handle this anymore. Typically, the only time you would want to quit or resign from employment is if you absolutely could not take it. If the harassment or the discrimination or the retaliation was so difficult that it was impossible for you to handle the position. The reason for that is because New York State has a fairly stringent threshold for what constitutes a constructive discharge, meaning you were forced out because it was too difficult. Really what you'd want to do in that situation, if possible, is make a complaint to the appropriate party. Typically that's HR, it could be a supervisor. You want to reference your handbook, but ultimately you'd want to make a complaint to the appropriate person that you were out on a protected leave and you had a condition that was protected, and you came back and you were retaliated against, you believe, because of having taken that leave. That will, in most cases, provide you with an extra layer of protection, and if you are ultimately terminated, will help you prove your case that the termination was in effect related to the leave and or the complaint about having come back from the leave. Now, if you come back from a leave and you find that your position is gone or you're terminated, you might say, well, I have no one to complain to because I've already lost the position. In that case, there are options for you to pursue, which would include a legal claim or potentially a claim to an administrative agency who would be able to investigate the circumstances surrounding the claim. Ultimately, if you're fired after having been out on a protected leave, you're going to want to probably reach out to an attorney because there are a number of things that we'd have to look into in order to vet whether the potential claims are in fact related to the medical leave. If an employer has a legitimate reason for taking the action, it's probably not illegal. But what we find in many cases is that when there's a very close proximity to the medical leave and the termination, it turns out that those quote-unquote legitimate reasons may not actually be so legitimate. If you have questions after having been fired from taking a leave or been disciplined after taking a medical leave, feel free to reach out to us.